Well, we can go ahead and get started. Um, Glad to see everybody. And we'll basically just to introduce the Tech Sales Network. The purpose of it is a technology referral network to develop long-lasting relationships with like-minded technology professionals, create opportunities through referral marketing, and grow our business skills. And the agenda is to basically network for a little bit like we've been doing. And each of us can go through and do a 30-second commercial, and then we'll have a presentation, which I'll be doing on agile business development, and then we can have some general discussion, and also get everyone's email addresses at some point in the chat, if you don't mind, your contact info. So the hope is, as a result of this meeting, as you hear what other people do, reach out to them outside of this meeting, and hopefully build your network a little bit more. So anyways, and I know we're all located in not only different parts of the country, but different parts of the world. So it'd be nice to know where everybody's at, what company they're with. And I'll go ahead and get it started. I'm Mark Wyatt, founder and CEO of Quantive Group, and I'll be presenting today on agile business development. And Jeff, you want to tell us about yourself and where you're at?
Sure. So I'm Jeff Martin. I live in California. Currently, I'm consulting with Meta for product marketing and vertical solutions marketing. So helping them to do industry analysis and figure out what they're doing with their marketplace and their environment, how they're getting the products to market. I also work driving new business development for different startups and putting together deals for different companies.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff. And we'll go to Philip.
Oops. Yeah, now you can see me. Good morning, everyone. Philippe Flichy. I'm actually also attended BU, so that was good to hear that. I started Cycler about a year ago, and we work on the management of cyber risks. So we're not the guys that change your firewalls. We are the guys that look at cyber security at a risk level, at the enterprise level. And I'm based in Houston, Texas. And originally from Texas, as you could see with my accent. So actually, I'm originally from Paris, France.
Oh, great. Well, bonjour. And how about Aaron? I think he might have just joined. And you're on mute, Aaron.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just joining late. My power went out and I had to drive to a different city. How are you all doing?
Oh, good, good. We were just introducing ourselves and kind of where we're located, and a 30-second commercial about our company. I guess we can go to Baber.
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Baber Khan. I run a company called Daytronic Solutions. We're a IT solutions, custom solutions provider, as well as an IT staff augmentation partner with with partners and end clients. And I saw this on LinkedIn. I figured I would join to see how we can leverage some of the expertise here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And Nikolay.
Hi, I'm Nick, I guess Nikolay, but Nick for short, easier for everyone. So I'm Nick Feresenko. I represent Loadware. I've been doing IT consultancy for a while, and we have a product called MDF. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's a market development funds management solution for enterprises. So we just trying to go to market with it. So I saw this on LinkedIn. Just curious what it is. Maybe we could find some clients.
Sure, great. Thanks, Nick. And Sean.
Sure. Sean Pastor. I'm with Agency Q. I'm in charge of sales and business development over here. We're right outside of Washington, D.C. Tons of fun clients in the federal government space. So people like Northrop Grumman and or the Federal Reserve or NIH and all those kind of good guys. But we're a marketing technology firm. We really specialize in taking great CRMs, implementing inside of either healthcare agencies or other entities. Right now, we're doing a big push with different things in content hubs and DAMs, also on CDPs. So it's a little all over the place, but just sent town to my friends in Texas, for a couple of medical centers, redesign website proposals. So love to be able to work with anybody and everybody. I met Mark as somebody who we might be able to do some business with for intranet site capabilities, or some other things that we maybe don't specialize in. So please go to our website at Agency Q, see what we're good at, see where we can work with one of your companies, and or fill that kind of gap that maybe you guys have, or a need from a client that you still want to kind of keep in house, or at least nearby. We're happy to kind of co-bid or co-work on different proposals.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. And looks like Mohammed joined. You could tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located, Mohammed.
Yes, hi. This is Mohammed Al-Masri. I'm the president of Cryptech Consulting. We are a software development firm located in Chicago. We specialize in software development for healthcare, specifically for life science companies, working on projects like clinical trial management systems, specimen lifecycle management systems, logistics, collection kit systems, stuff like that.
Great. Thank you very much. And we'll introduce Ilya.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ilya. I'm with Quantive Group, and I'm located in Ukraine now. So that's it.
Stay safe.
Thanks.
Thanks. And Olya?
Hey, my name is Olya. I'm originally from Ukraine, located in Czechia, Czech Republic, and I'm in charge of operations and everything that is going on behind the scene of Quantive.
Thank you, Olya. And Connor?
Hey, I'm Connor Eckstein. I'm with Quantive Group as well. I'm a marketing analyst, currently looking at how to do marketing in the kind of the walled garden ecosystems of Discord and other modern messaging platforms.
Great. Thank you. And by the way, Connor and I are located in Dayton, Ohio. So I don't know if I mentioned that or not.
You said you're dating in Ohio? That's great.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
No. Close.
Sorry, I had a bad connection.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, great. I appreciate everyone introducing themselves and tell us what company you're with. And by the way, if you get a chance, please put your contact info into chat. So that way anyone can reach out to you. Would be great. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. And, the agenda today is basically to do about a 15-minute presentation that I'm going to do. It may be a little longer. If you guys have questions, go ahead and just interrupt, and be glad to facilitate a discussion on any of the areas that we go into. And then, after that, if anyone has any concluding things or any area that they think they would like to mention as far as types of companies that they're looking to talk to, would be good to let the group know. That way, if we have anyone in our network, we might be able to introduce you as well. So with that said, I'll go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully everyone will be able to see it okay. And the host needs to give me share capabilities. Okay, thank you. All right, and some of you may have already seen some of this presentation in the past, but what I want to do is go through it and maybe dive into a little bit more detail about it. But Agile business development is basically taking a little bit different approach to sales and marketing and business development within technology companies. And this really has been a result of a lot of my experience over 20 years in founding and starting multiple tech companies and having to do business development and sales and marketing, but then also having to do the actual implementation as well. And basically the idea is, instead of sales and marketing kind of just being this thing that you kind of get lucky at, or it happens or it doesn't happen, it's really taking a more methodical approach to it as an actual process. And so what we do is we look at, from cradle to grave, the whole process of not only lead generation and the marketing, but also the sales part of it, with the meetings, the proposals, and then the client acquisition. And what we do is look at that whole process in order to put some method around it so that client acquisition actually can become quantifiable and repeatable through analyzing the data of all of these different parts of the process, and really looking at 3 specific KPI that we'll get into. So the first part of it is what we call a micro campaign. And much of what we have found to be effective is through personal outreach and what we call contact activity. So it's all the activity involved in reaching out to folks, getting meetings with them, what happens in those meetings, and that's where the contact activity, and we'll go into, you know, what some of the things that we found very effective in kind of, you know, stirring the dust up, basically, to get some things happening. And then once we execute on that, then we look at the data that comes back of that activity. And that's where we're really putting some process around it, so that it's not, because really all the activity that happens in business development does produce data, and there are things happening, and I'll get into what that data is. But many times that data isn't looked at or analyzed, or it's not really even thought of. So what we do is make sure and analyze that activity, and we look at it as data points. And then from that, we come up with some conclusions that we call market discovery. And then we go back through that again. And during market discovery, we're looking at not only uncovering underserved markets, but also building a sales funnel. So has anyone in the group used Agile in project management or developing solutions?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay, good. And I've actually used it quite a bit. In fact, when I've done consulting at Kroger, and we did scalable Agile, which is called SAFe, where we had, like, you know, 100 people busted up into probably 15 different teams all doing Agile. And when you do it at that scale, you know, there's really a lot of process around it. So a lot of this comes from much of my experience in developing software solutions for not only small, medium-sized companies, but also like for Kroger and Honda and larger companies. So it's basically taking that same process and applying the mechanics of it to business development. And I'll get into some of the parallels that I've found in doing this now for 3 years. There's been some real parallels between developing software and developing a market or, you know, new business. So the first step that we found in doing this for several years now, and by the way, This goes back even further. This process, I just didn't really define it until 3 years ago. So it's really a similar process that I've used in a lot of my startups. When I did a post-mortem on them and how I went about acquiring new clients. So there's really a lot that went into this. More the last 3 years is where what I did is built Quantive Group to just focus on it. And because of that, we've really learned a lot. And we've helped, several dozen tech companies now with it. So what's a micro campaign? Typically when you think about marketing and outreach and all that, you're like trying to identify thousands of companies, and that's fine. There may be thousands or tens of thousands of companies within a certain market, but what we want to do is break it down into hundreds so that it's kind of these bite-sized pieces that we can run through the agile process. And so that's what we call a micro campaign. And these are going to be made up of 2, 3, sometimes as much as 500, usually not more than that, because we want to execute on it and get the data that comes back. So the ideal client profile is one piece of the micro campaign, and another equally important piece is the message. And I'll get into that in a minute. But the ideal client profile is, what we consider like these dials that we're going to dial in. And it's going to be the title of an individual, an industry, size of an organization, either in employees or sales. And then we look at also geographic location, and it could be international. Now, we're not limited to these dials, but we found that these are some of the main ones that seem to be really good indicators. You can segment it out, and we do for some clients where we'll have other filters that we use to come up with these micro campaigns. And so once we decide on not just one, but we usually execute on several of these at the same time, then we're looking at messaging, which is really, really important. And the goal of this micro campaign, as you're going to see, isn't necessarily to blast out a marketing message, but it's really to get to meet the KPI, which the KPI, the key performance indicators we found, are meaningful meetings, proposals, and close business. And so we're looking at the first KPI, which is a meaningful meeting. So the messaging we use is really a personalized message that we send in order to secure a meeting. And then we look at the data to increase the ratio of meetings being meaningful. Any questions on this part of the micro campaign?
So I have a question, Mark. Maybe you could explain a little bit how our ICP, ideal customer profile, evolved during the last 3 years, who we started targeting with, and who we changed it, how we changed our strategies. And maybe then we can ask the same question to our audience and just try to understand who we think our ideal customer profile was before, and then you maybe tested it and found out that these segments of people are not a good target audience, but you found out that a different segment is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we first started for Quantive Group, of course, Quantive Group does the same agile approach that we work on with all of our clients. And we were a little bit across the board. We were looking at just about any kind of technology company, and also, different larger in size. And we didn't find that our message resonated as well. And that's the other thing that we've tweaked also, is the messaging. So the idea behind going through these in smaller iterations is to fail fast and to find not only companies that like us, but also companies that don't, and not to continue to put energy into that. So we found that for our ideal client profile, it's more solution sales clients. The SaaS clients that are charging like 100 or 200 a month for subscription generally don't turn out to be ideal client profiles for us. So we've actually eliminated some pretty large segments of the market so that we can focus our energy and effort. But the other thing too that I'll say is we look at the market as a constant changing thing. So we're always testing new things and trying new messages and ICPs a little bit at a time here and there with different LinkedIn profiles that we manage. So we feel like Agile is important because even though you may have a certain recipe that is successful right now today, doesn't mean that it's going to be successful in 12 or 24 or 36 months. So by continuing to analyze the data, you can continue to change with the market trends. So once we lock that in, we execute on it. And we do that through either voicemail drops, through email, and also social media, primarily LinkedIn. And we're not a software company, but we use the best of the SaaS that is out there for these activities to have some automation to it. We haven't found that, you know, just hitting a button and letting stuff happen is the most successful. So we really manage this real close, and there's a lot of human interaction that happens with each of these outreaches. So we're definitely not doing just a hit an easy button and spam something out. I mean, this is, you know, very, very managed and handheld with each of these. And as Connor mentioned, we're also looking at experimenting with some of the messaging apps and environments that are out there, like Discord and Slack as well. So once we execute on several micro campaigns, we are looking at the KPI of the data analysis. And basically we're looking at how much of that turned into meaningful meetings, and how many went to proposal, how many went to new business. Because what we're wanting to find are patterns within the data so that we can find those underserved markets, or those markets that our message and our offering is resonating with. And then once we start seeing those trends, then we want to maximize that effort. And so it's an ongoing process. Every time, I mean, we're constantly doing micro campaigns, we're constantly analyzing the data and making small changes here and there in order to continue to meet this KPI. And really what we're wanting to get to is some consistency of how many meetings does it take to have a meaningful meeting? How many meaningful meetings does it take to get a proposal? How many proposals to get to new business? And once we start getting some consistent numbers, then we feel like we can make some data-driven decisions, as opposed to just, you know, continuing to just churn through all this activity without looking at the data coming off of it. So the data analysis is done by, we have APIs pulling data in from the activity that's happening with the phone, email, or social media outreach. We pull all that data into spreadsheets basically, and we're very transparent about it. All our clients have access to these shared spreadsheets. We put dashboards on top of it to show in real time not only the meetings that are happening, but also positive responses, and on LinkedIn, who's connecting with us, who's responding well to the emails we sent. So what titles are responding, what industries, headcount, geographic location. And I mean, this is just a small sample of the dashboards and data set, but you know, we build some pretty extensive dashboards. And the cool thing is as you start to amass data over months of time, then you can look for trends within the year. You can look for patterns. You can see what years, what months are more active than others. then you can kind of start to predict your activity on an annual cycle. Any questions on this part of it? So is anyone be able to? Yes, go ahead.
How many months? I think you mentioned it, but I didn't catch that. You need at least 3 months to start having some kind of visibility.
Yeah, I mean the data will start coming in, you know, with even within the first month. But we like to have what we do as a 90-day pilot. So we don't feel like we can really give this whole process a fair shake without, you know, in anything less than 90 days, because it kind of is like a snowball effect. So if you only do 1 month, there's kind of this snowball effect that starts happening where it just, you know, the data builds upon the data. And so after 3 months, in 1 month, you may only have really 10% of the data that you're going to have if you do the 90 days.
And how many micro campaigns do you do in 90 days?
It really depends. There's not really a set amount. It depends on what the you know, what the outreach is, what how many that you have within those ICPs. So maybe Olya, do you have a kind of a guesstimate within our clients how many we've done on the low and high end about?
So I would say that yeah, it really depends on also on the ICP and how narrow or wide your market is and what kind of market validation efforts were done before, so that we know if we know exactly who we should be targeting, or we have to test, for example, with different titles or headcounts or even industries. And usually we do at least 2 campaigns per month for example, for LinkedIn, for connections and for emails as well. That helps us do some A/B tests, but we are not limited to it. So sometimes we can do 3 or 4, depending on what we would like to test, or depending on what results we see. For example, if we see some good results and there is no need to change what is working well, then we might limit ourselves to just, you know, 1 campaign that brought us the biggest amount of meetings during the last month. And when we have meetings, we usually track it. So we have a form, for example, the process that we are doing in Quantive, and also something that we are asking our clients to do is to evaluate the meetings, and then we do reverse engineering and we see what kind of ICP brought this specific meeting and how we can scale it. So in the beginning, I would say we have more tests in case we are not sure what brings us better results in terms of meetings, but the more we test, the more we can have data-driven decisions made in the future. And for example, for Mark, we don't want to have too many meetings on his calendar. So we just select a few ICP winners, as we call them, and we go just with them. And that's an intentional decision, because we can even calculate how many meetings can this ICP bring in this specific season or quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also it will depend if we can manage 2 LinkedIn accounts. So we can even double the amount of campaigns from 4 a month to even 8 a month.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Maybe it's a basic question, but I didn't really quite understand that. What do you mean exactly when you say manage 2 LinkedIn accounts?
Well, one of the things that we do on behalf of our clients is we don't just help them with this process. We execute on it with them and on their behalf. So one of the things that we do is manage their LinkedIn account. so that we can automate a lot of the outreach. And then we'll also have them come up with a alternative email address that we manage to send out personalized message. Now we work real close with you on what the messaging is, and we don't do anything that you wouldn't do personally, but we just do a lot more of that activity. Same with the phone. We come up with an alternate number that we do the voicemail drops, so that as that data comes in, we can get all that data and analyze it.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure. So yeah, I like to say, we like you to wake up in the morning and just have Zoom meetings on your calendar, and you do them, and they just show up, because all of our outreach, we include a Calendly accounts for automated scheduling, and then a Zoom meeting is linked to that automatically. And you see the Zoom meetings, you do them. Hopefully you can record them. We like to watch those as well to get feedback. And then you move on. And then, like Olya said, we have a simple form you fill out, takes like 2 minutes after each meeting, and that data goes right into that Excel, that spreadsheet of all of the meetings. So we're just we've come up with ways to automate the collection of all of this data from your meetings and from what hits your calendar. And the idea is that we automate a lot of this so that you can have a volume of meetings in order to get, because the more data that we have, the better we're going to be able to help with different decisions that are made as to where to point our efforts. So in software development, or any actually technology project, there's this cone of uncertainty, and we've applied it to market discovery. And generally, for anyone that has developed solutions in technology or software development, the idea is, when you come into a project, the client has an idea of what they want, and the development team has an idea of what they think the client wants. And so there's a disconnect there of uncertainty. But once you start going down this path using Agile, and you're getting feedback from that client and their users, that uncertainty continues to narrow. Well, we apply that same process in discovering the market. As you go through these iterations of these steps, we're taking that feedback you're getting from actual meetings and bringing it back through, so that you become more and more certain of a certain market. And that's a certainty of whether it is a good market that you're getting results from, or a market that you may not want to continue to put effort into because you're just not getting the result. So that's basically the high level overview of what our process is. And this is the same process I came up with at the very beginning. And we still use it today. We've refined it. We've automated a lot of it. I feel like we've become very, very efficient at it. We've done a lot more with our data analysis piece, simply because we have more data now, so we can do a lot cooler things with looking at it and coming up with really actionable data that you can look at and say, you know what, I don't think we should be targeting CFOs anymore, because we have a tremendous amount of data of all these meetings with CFOs, and it just never seems to go anywhere. Let's cut that out of our ICP and put effort into, maybe the CIOs or VP of processes or something, where you're seeing more results from. And so those are some really cool things we can do in looking at the data, not only with the title, but then even across an industry that, maybe we thought was going to be a good industry, but as we go down the path, we find out that, you know, it may or may not be a good fit because of the result. All right. Any other questions on the process or on Quantum Group in general?
Do you cover during this meeting the like how do you structure your fees around your services, or that's something that we can discuss on a private call?
Yeah, we'd love to discuss that on a private call and go into more detail, because we'd like to learn more about what your specific needs are and, you know, what you've you know, done up until now with business development. And yeah, Olya can schedule that with you.
Sure.
And you know, we you know, our hope is to be a good fit, and we've been able to do that pretty effectively with our technology clients, so that, you know, we really are adding value to their organization. And many times they will look at our services and what we're doing as a total outsourced business development. And you know, one of the things that we are able to do is look at helping with fractional solution folks that are kind of in a quasi sales solutioning role. And so you don't have to hire them full time. We can help hire them on a fractional basis to do the meeting, you know, start to do some of the meetings for you as well.
And can you go over maybe in brief about Quantum Group, how many employees, what year was founded, how many clients do you have to date?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Quantum Group, we have a team of 8, and I don't have any employees, actually. They're all contractors, and it's an international team. In fact, Connor is a fractional person doing market analysis. He's, I think, the only person, me and myself, that are in the United States. The rest are spread out in Eastern Europe and Thailand and Canada. And we've been all been working together, most of us, for the past 3 years. So, you know, it's we're a pretty tight team. We've helped over a dozen tech companies. Currently, I think we have about 6 tech companies that we're actively working with in this process, and we do have some case studies, you know, as well, around the successes we've had with those companies. Appreciate the question.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you for giving the detail.
Sure.
Mark, do you
Great.
have API integrations with any of the other suites, or is it really a standalone system? How do you move the data around? Do you pull data? Do you push data? Anything like that?
Oh, no, that's a great question. And one of the decisions I made when I started this is I just did not want to be a development company. I didn't want to get distracted by, because I mean, I'm kind of really, I can really geek out on all that stuff, as Olya will tell you. When we first started, I had all these tools that I was hosting, and, you know, we had a server and all that. And it was just too cumbersome. So we got rid of all that, and everything we do now is in Google. And we basically, our model is we use SaaS. So for integration, we use this company called Integromat, and it's basically like, and we use Zapier as well. So it's basically one of those SaaS companies that will connect anything to anything and move the data for you from one platform to the next. So our model is to get all the data, just simply get it into Google Sheets and, you know, into a spreadsheet. And we have some extensive sheets where different data goes into different tabs, like the LinkedIn data will go into one, the voicemail another, the email in another. So all the raw data comes in. And then we have within the Google Sheets, we'll build a few dashboards and that type of thing. So any APIs we use is all going through Integromat. So we get automatic data pulls from calendar data, we get LinkedIn data, voicemail, email. And again, we're transparent in all the technology because frankly, we're pretty agnostic to it. We preview this technology and these tools on a regular basis, and sometimes we switch over to other automation tools or integration tools, depending on what's most cost effective and what works the best. I don't know if Olya or Ilya have anything to add on that, but they help with some of that type of stuff as well.
Yeah, so at first, I would say that we try to imagine the process, try to understand what kind of data we want to pull from Facebook, not from Facebook, from LinkedIn, and then into the spreadsheet, what data is meaningful to us. And there was a point when we were doing it manually, but then everything that we are doing manually, it's automatically a subject to us of how it can be automated in the future. So we are observing the processes that are done and that bring us results and value, and then we automate it. So that was one of them. And a big upside of it is that the spreadsheets are automated, in real time. There is not much that there's some things that our team still does manually, but mostly you can go and check, for example, what kind of connections, what kind of people connected to you during the last week, or how many responses you have, or what kind of responses you are getting. So this is quite transparent. And I think with LinkedIn, it's kind of hard to manage the inbox. And if you send a few messages, some meaningful conversations can be lost. So one of the goals that we had was not to lose anything that might bring value to us as Quantive or to our clients as well.
Thanks, Olya. Thank you. Yeah, we're more focused on process and the data more than the actual technology. We've found, at least I've found over the years, that that's really what can drive meaningful outcomes and results, is having good, solid processes. Well, the other thing I was going to ask, is there any specific types of companies anyone is wanting to get introduced to, or any specific type of company itself that anyone's wanting to build a network in?
So Mark, this is Rohan, okay, and so I'm like representing the company which mainly work on the RPA side. So we have the people who are expert into the robotic process automation, then AI and ML. So we don't work on the proper like legacy systems like .NET based development or Java and PHP, but our core expertise on the like cutting edge technologies, mainly like RPA and that all. Mm-hmm. So I just want to like I personally like the presentation you did for the overall things, okay, and I definitely go and touch base with you, might be in next coming week, might be with including our CEO also. So want to understand like how we can move forward, because as right now we are facing lots of challenges, okay, when we go and approach to the clients in US. Like we have the company in US, it's in the state Iowa. So when we go and approach the client, we see lots of challenges on the data security and other stuff. So I want to really understand like how we can go and approach more clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And all the stuff that I will share with you is my experience in 20 years in doing solution selling within Fortune 500 all the way down to small, medium size, and how I've crafted deals and closed them. And you know, some of the things that I've learned through Hard Knocks, I've actually helped companies here in the States that have had teams internationally penetrate into Kroger and other organizations. So that's why one of the things we do is we look at the whole sales cycle. We don't just look at, you know, the marketing part of it, but we're looking at what differentiates you. We're looking at what is your offering, what is the price point, and then we're also looking at, you know, what the market is actually saying, the problems that they want solved. Because many times it's not so much that you have you have a widget or a product or offering that can solve the problem. The disconnect is the way that it's communicated and whether or not you're going to secure a meeting, whether or not you can get to meet with the right person. And so many times that's where we take a hard look at you know, what the messaging actually is and try to provide some good leadership on that so that your message doesn't get lost in the sea of all the, you know, messaging that's out there.
Absolutely. I totally understand the message you just provided.
Cool. Great.
So
What
other
is your
programs-
pricing model?
For what's our pricing model?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're consultants, so we just charge a discounted hourly rate of $85 an hour. And we start our clients either at 10 or 20 hours a week. And that's why we do a 90-day pilot. So we want to, you know, make sure that it's a good fit. And we do a 90-day pilot with that, and it seems to work really well.
So one of the programs I'll put out to the team, Mark, you and I chatted in the last few weeks on this. There's a program I'm involved with called the Canadian Digital Adoption Program. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. It's a government program. It's funded with billions of dollars at this point. It's going to be live for at least another 4 years. What they're looking to do is to bring small and medium businesses online, and they are providing free funding to these companies. And so if you companies engaged, they go through a developer. There's an initial assessment that goes on. The government provides up to $15,000 roughly in funding for that investigation to happen. So it's funded for that company. They just have to pay about 10% of that, so $1,500. And they get and own all of the digital plan that comes with that. And so from there, they can choose to implement that plan, and then the government gives them another $100,000 interest-free, plus a free intern that's funded as well to run the program for them. And then that developer then works with that company to deliver that program into play. So there is opportunity in the sense that we need to build the funnel. They're looking for more and more companies, literally thousands of companies to engage in this program, and they have the funding to back it and engage with. The close rate, depending on the industry you're talking to right now, because it is free funding, is between 85 and 94%. The opportunities tend to close positively. They are looking for new funnel activity, so the opportunity to build a business funnel across any of the industries out there. So it's a very rich, wide open program. There's plenty of room to play and engage, and I don't think anybody will cross over anybody. And there is both opportunity at the build the funnel side of the work, which is basically finding leads, turning it in, and getting a referral program in play. There's also opportunity on the development side if you want to become a developer to deliver work in, because there's no requirement to work with that initial developer or scope group in order to implement the product. And so the money can be spent anywhere. There's no requirement necessary to spend it in Canada. So if anybody is looking for new business development, they want to engage, they're looking for an opportunity to be part of a revenue program, please let me know.
Yeah. And I met with some of the guys, by the way, and this is the Canadian government is basically got free money to businesses. And it's a real thing. They'll write them a check for $15,000, and they can take that $15,000 and spend it with any technology company anywhere on the planet, basically, in order for them to become more digital. So for instance, if they're a manufacturer and they want to sell their goods in e-commerce and they don't really have e-commerce set up, the government will give them the money to research how to set that up. And then once they do that research and figure it out, and you come back and say, well, it's going to cost $50,000 to set it up, the government will loan them for no interest, $50,000 to build this whole e-commerce type thing. So, I mean, I would think it's a gold mine for any kind of technology company to go in and do these, you know, do an assessment, and then even to be able to do the work on the back end. And the thing is, a lot of these companies don't even know about it. So that's part of the problem. There's tons of companies in Canada that don't even know that this free money is available. So you literally can walk into these companies and say, hey, we can help you become digital, and it's not going to cost you anything. Your own government's going to pay for it, basically.
Yeah, you look at the industries, there's 3,200 florists, for example, that could be qualified for this. There's 12 to 13,000 veterinarians that could be qualified for this. I mean, the numbers just start stacking up at that point, and it's all these small and medium businesses. And Mark, to your point, they literally don't know that this program is available to them.
Yeah.
So the government is meeting with companies, tech companies, to build funnels to get them online, because if they don't spend the money on the program, the money goes away.
Yep.
So.
Great. Thanks. Appreciate that, Jeff. All right.
That's
Well, we're
for
out of the
Canadian
hour.
companies, right?
No.
Right.
Well, the
no,
Canadian companies, yes, to get built.
yeah, the Canadian companies can spend the money with any company in the world, but
Okay.
yeah, the money's for Canadian companies to spend on digital consulting companies.
So if anybody's interested, please let me know. I'm happy to facilitate a discussion and get you engaged.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate everyone showing up and participating. And again, we meet the third Wednesday of every month, right, Olya, at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So everyone here is invited to come back next month, and hope to see you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you, everyone.